Today we're going to talk about the final Timothy Dalton James Bond film, License to Kill. So let's get started. Hey everybody, my name is Justin. I love to watch movies. If you guys love to watch movies too, you guys are in the right spot. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and click that bell notification for more up and coming James Bond videos. Today we're going to talk about the 16th James Bond film, and unfortunately the last Timothy Dalton James Bond film, License to Kill. I really enjoyed The Living Daylights, so I was anticipating License to Kill because I said in previous videos, the two Timothy Dalton ones I really don't remember much of growing up. I focus a lot on Sean Connery and Pierce Brosnan, so I was excited to see Timothy Dalton films. This was the first film in the series to not use a title from an Ian Fleming story. In License to Kill, it sees James Bond being suspended from MI6, and he pursues drug lord Franz Sanchez, who has ordered an attack against his CIA friend Felix Leiter and the murder of Felix's wife during their honeymoon. Franz Sanchez is played by Robert Davi, who I remember so much from The Goonies. And he does a good job of being the big, bad James Bond villain. Just the way about him is very sinister. He was sinister in The Goonies. I vividly remember that as a kid. But I really enjoyed him within this movie. And I think that this James Bond movie, License to Kill, has a really good spy element to it. James Bond is kind of going undercover to work his way into Franz Sanchez's life and getting undercover so he could, seek revenge on what happened to Felix's wife during their honeymoon. So while this is happening, his License to Kill is being suspended, so he goes kind of rogue, and it's a good story that sets itself apart from other James Bond movies since they're all kind of based around James Bond going on this mission ordered by the MI6. Now he's doing his own thing against the MI6, and it's an original story that I really did enjoy. I prefer The Living Daylights out of the two Timothy Dalton films, but I think that License to Kill had a lot of fun moments. There is a lot of great stunt work within this movie. Towards the end, there is a lot of scenes regarding gasoline trucks that I thought was really impressive. There's planes in there as well. There's a lot of scenes underwater within the beginning of the movie, so there is a lot of impressive action scenes within this film. One thing I've been impressed with about the Timothy Dalton movies is that it set itself apart from the other James Bond movies and added some new style to it that I felt like was missing from those previous James Bond films. Sean Connery films were kind of smooth and he was great in his role. George Lazenby was awesome, and then we had Roger Moore, who had that kind of comedic moments. The Timothy Dalton movies add a lot more stunt work and a lot of heavy action scenes that have really impressed me over the last two films. So I will miss the Timothy Dalton movies and some of the cool action scenes within this movie. The two Bond girls in here, Pam Bouvier, a ex-army pilot and CIA informant, and Lupe Lomero, Sanchez's girlfriend who has romantic feelings for Bond, both have chances to shine within this movie and have a connection to James Bond. There's kind of like this love triangle going on. They both have feelings for James Bond, but who does he choose at the end of the film? And one thing I've liked about Timothy Dalton is that he has like a genuine smile. And whenever he is around any of the girls, he feels really happy and it just feels genuine and realistic compared to Roger Moore or Sean Connery, who was more of like just a romantic thing, and here it just seems honest. That's what I like about Timothy Dalton, is that especially in The Living Daylights, whenever he's talking to the girl, he really seems invested and honestly wants to get to know them. And that's what I liked about Timothy Dalton, especially within this movie as well. I think that this film develops a lot of James Bond kind of going undercover and working his way into Franz Sanchez's big scheme, and doesn't really build up a lot of his big villainous plot that well. I think they focus a lot more on the revenge aspect of the movie rather than building up some of those villainous elements to the film. But nonetheless, I think Robert Davi did a good job in the role, and I think that Franz Sanchez is very intimidating despite the fact that his storyline wasn't as developed as I was expecting it to be, but I think that the character is still interesting. License to Kill is an entertaining James Bond film. I think it is one of the better movies within this series. It's not as good as The Living Daylights for me, but it is filled with great stunt work, a lot of cool action sequences. Timothy Dalton once again gives a really good performance as James Bond. I just think he's very confident in the role, and coming into Living Daylights, something about it was just so smooth and easy for him, and you kind of just latched onto the guy right away. I still felt that within License to Kill. The two Bond girls, I think, are great within the movie. They have good chemistry with Timothy Dalton, and their storylines are interesting, and I think that the villain is cool despite that lack of a developing story. So License to Kill is a decent James Bond film, and it's sad that Timothy Dalton didn't go on to be in more James Bond films, because this was released in 1989, and then we had the first Pierce Brosnan film released many years later. So there was a gap in between here that honestly Timothy Dalton could have starred in a few more films. That would have been really cool. But I think that he did leave a lasting impression on the role and set forth a style that we got with Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig as well. So I'm going to go ahead and give License to Kill, the 16th James Bond film, a B+. Thank you guys for checking my review for License to Kill. Stay tuned. Next week I get a review for the first Pierce Brosnan film, GoldenEye. So stay tuned for that. My name is Just Watch Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.